Machinedramon first debuted from the EX1 set, and the deck was actually just okay. But actually a lot of things were changed ever since the format of BT7 came along with Chaosdramon. Hello Digimon players and fans, welcome back to another Digimon deck profile and in-depth building guide video. Just before we get started with the video, I got something really cool to share with all of you guys. And once again, of course, it is the newest Battle of Series with Jidobi. Be sure to check that out. It's our latest Battle of Next Adventure series. We covered 2 deck profiles, including Black's X Antibody and Cherubimon, which has gotten a lot of hype recently because it's been winning lots. We also got a very epic battle against each other with those 2 decks, so definitely be sure to watch that after this video as well. Now let's talk about Machinedramon. If you're sick and tired and bored of playing hybrid based decks for this format, well, this deck might quite just be the perfect fit for you. It's a Megazoo style based deck. It has a very unusual deck building strategy, but not to worry, I'll go through the in-depth building guide along with all of you so you guys can understand it a bit better. Ratios might be off, but once again, I'll explain some of the combos and how to play this deck after the deck profile, so definitely stick around if you guys want to become the master of Machinedramon. The goal is to access your resources by either trashing and drawing as many level 5s that are cyborg in its traits. And the win condition is to see Machinedramon as soon as possible so you can bring him out and utilize its effects by stacking a lot of resources and Digivolution sources underneath it. Machinedramon then becomes a very adaptable deck because it has a variety of inherited effects that can help you overcome different situations depending on your needs. So that basically is what Machinedramon does in a nutshell. So let's just then get into the deck profile for this particular build. For Digi-Egg cards, we basically play the 4 copies of Demi-Vmon, and that's all we really need. This one is because that every time when we swing in with jamming, we get to draw a card. And the sole purpose is basically for our rookie, and we'll get straight into it right here where we play the 4 copies of Vmon. Now it's really important that we have this blue base Digi-Egg package and rookie package, simply because it allows us to play our blue options, will become really important to talk about as we get into it later. But this Vmon is simple, it just has jamming, combos well with the Demi-Vmon, giving you draw power and survivability and to make multiple checks as much as you can during the early game. So that's it for the blue base. Now for the rookies, we got the 4 copies of Hagurumon right here from EX1. This one on play, you get to trash one of your basically your level 5s. Ideally you want to go for your level 5 cyborgs, and then you get to draw 2 cards. Definitely must max out at this card because it gives you the draw power to get into combo pieces as fast as possible, but also adding cards to your trash so that your Machinedramon can benefit from it as well. That's basically it for our rookies. And then for our level 4s, we only play the 2 level 4s, which is the 2 copies of MagnaGarurumon right here. Just a really good hard play Digimon in the early game as well. Just a blocker sitting there to basically stop your opponents from chipping you away with low DP Digimon. And yeah, 2 is definitely sufficient for this deck. So we're going to be jumping straight into the level 5s, and I'm going to talk about the level 5s in split sections. The first section I'm going to showcase you guys are the black level 5s, and let's show you guys the ones from EX1. The first one we have is 3 copies of Tyrannomon, 2 copies of Andromon, and 1 copy of Metal Mamemon. Metal Tyrannomon basically gives your Machinedramon reboot, which is really good. Being able to swing and unsuspend during your opponent's turn, you know, really nice. Andromon gives blocker to your Machinedramon, so it combos very well along together with Metal Tyrannomon, so that your Machinedramon can swing, unsuspend, become a blocker in your opponent's turn as well. And then Metal Mamemon allows you to delete a opponent's Digimon with play cost 5 or less when attacking, which is pretty handy when it comes on needing to delete Digimon like Bokomon and memory Digimon like Syakomon and Madoki Betamon, which is really good in this format. For the rest of the black level 5s, we have 1 Gigadramon, 1 Volcanomon, and 1 Megadramon right here. Gigadramon, during your opponent's turn, buffs up your Machinedramon by another 2000 DP, which is fantastic. And then Volcanomon is a conditioned security +1. As long as your opponent has a unsuspended Digimon, your Machinedramon will gain your security +1. And then Megadramon is very similar to Andromon, which also gives your Machinedramon blocker, but this one doesn't have any requirements because it just straight up gives them blocker essentially. So that'll be it for our black level 5s, and now let's talk about our red level 5s. The first one I want to show you is MagnaGarurumon. We got two different kinds. We got one, and then we got this other one right here. The one from EX1 is very straightforward, gives your Machinedramon extra security +1, which is really good. And then on play, you can also delete up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less, which definitely comes in handy in this current format. Now the next one is MagnaGarurumon from BT6. This one gives an extra 2000 during your turn, which is really great. Buffing up the attack so that you can swing in safely is great. And then next we got two Metal Greymons. We got one from EX1 once again, and then another one from BT7. Let's talk about the EX1 first. When attacking, when this Digimon attacks a player, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. Once again, really handy in deleting stuff here and there, but also it gives your Machinedramon piercing as is inherited basically. For this Metal Greymon, on the other hand, on play, it does a lot of different interesting things to partner up with your Tamers. If you have a Tamer in play, you gain 2 memory back, making this Digimon just a 5 cost, which is really good. If not, you can actually play a red Tamer card from your hand without paying its memory cost. However, in this deck, we don't really get to utilize that effect, which is kind of unfortunate because there's no red Tamers that synergize greatly with Machinedramon. However, the inherited is also really nice because your turn once per turn, when one of your opponent's Digimon is deleted, you get to gain a memory, which is why we play it. You know, we want to keep a variety of different level 5s so that Machinedramon can get into it as soon as possible. And then last but not least, we have one AncientGreymon from BT4. Digiburst allows you to play a red or yellow Tamer card that has 4 or less costs from your hand without paying memory costs. But like I mentioned again, we don't play any red Tamers, we don't play any yellow Tamers in this deck, so we don't really get to utilize that effect. But really, once again, it's just to get that extra effect of inheriting, where when attacking, if you have a Tamer in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP for the turn. So for the Megas, we got the 4 copies of Machinedramons right here. This one's the Altai copy. So this is basically the core of the deck and what the whole entire deck is based around, which is basically this Digimon. Now the whole idea is to hard play this guy so that you can place 5 red or black cyborg Digimon that are particularly level 5 underneath it. Now keep in mind there's actually an errata for this card, so definitely be sure to read that because the current printing of the effect may be a little bit different. It doesn't mention it's level 5 on the actual card text right here, but make sure to check the errata on the official worlddigimoncard.com. I'll leave a link in the description box down below so you guys can also reference it. But keep in mind, very important, they have to be level 5. Red or black cyborg in its traits, and not only that, they have to have different card codes. So you might be asking, what does that mean? Well, going back to our level 5s, you guys can see we play a whole variety of different ones, and very little we do copies of the exact same one. So for example, you cannot stack 2 Andromons or 2 Metal Tyrannomons from this particular EX1 set underneath Machinedramon. They all have to be different codes right here, and based on the set code, as you can see, from different sets essentially. So this is why it's really crucial to play a variety for the Machinedramon package. Now the other note is not only that the level 5s need to have different codes from different set, it's also really important and crucial for them to have really good inheritables and a variety of different them, so you can really stack them differently depending on what you need in the situation, but also creating your perfect Machinedramon to adapt in that particular play that you need to, whether go aggressively or more defensively, which is totally dependent on the situation, which is why it's also really good and very crucial. Now another really important note that I need to mention to you guys is that memory blockers such as Madoki Betamon and Gazimon and Terriermon hurts this deck a lot because your Machinedramon will not be able to gain its 5 memory back and repaying you for its value cost, because otherwise you'll be slapping this card for 12 memory. However, there is some cards that will showcase you guys in the side deck later to sort of deal with that. Going back to this, it does a whole lot of things. The main key powerhouse of its effect is all turns, this Digimon DP can't be reduced, meaning it's very good against yellow matchups, and yellow hybrid is one of the strongest decks in the current format for tier 1, and this really greatly counters them, which is really good. Also, all turns, if this Digimon would be deleted, you can trash 2 of its sources to prevent its deletion, giving him very strong floating capabilities. So that's it for Machinedramon. Next up, we have the new guy right here, where we have the 4 copies of Chaosdramon from BT7. This card definitely enabled a lot of cooler strategies because what he can do is he can digivolve on top of Machinedramon for a cost of 1, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. Or you can Digivolve on top of level 5 for a cost of 4. Now what Chaosdramon does is when Digivolving, you can place one red or black cyborg Digimon on top of its Digivolution traits, and then you can pop one of your opponent's Digimon that has 6000 DP or less for each level 5 cyborg you have within Chaosdramon sources. So basically, if you're topping off on top of Machinedramon with a huge stack, you get to pop a very wide board of 6000 DP, which is really good in this format as well, which is why Chaosdramon became really essential and very important. Not to mention, Chaosdramon gains all the inheritables from your Machinedramon previously, which makes Chaosdramon a even stronger power raid boss Digimon for the deck, and this is why Chaosdramon is really good. So we actually play a very interesting level 7 package that is very unusual, and I think many of you guys will not expect it. But just before I reveal it to you guys, I want you guys who are watching right now who haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe right now. And if you guys already subscribed, then you're absolutely awesome, then definitely give this video a like. But for those who didn't yet, by subscribing, you get to see and be updated with all the new Digimon deck profiles for the BT7 format and moving forward on this channel. We got lots of content pumping out for you guys, quality content as well, so you definitely want to stay tuned by clicking that notification bell as well, and I really appreciate it because you guys are just really awesome. Anyways, like I promised, let's review the level 7 package. We play 4 Omnimon Zord defeats, and to tag on along with it, we got 2 Omnimon X antibodies. At first, when I was experimenting and trying to get some like inspiration, I saw some people playing this, and I got really confused. I was like, why does this even work? But for some reason, if you actually try out and play this deck, it works, and it's really cool. Omnimon Zord defeat is just really great because it can pop out with security, and then afterwards, if you do have Omnimon Zord defeat, you can top up with X antibody to give you a very powerful advantage and win even stronger against your opponents. Now, the other reason why Zord defeat is really good in this deck is because it can actually Digivolve on top of your Machinedramon and delete one of your opponent's Tamers, which makes it, again, really useful in this current format because this is the hybrid format. There's lots of Tamers being played, and being able to slow down and delete some of them actually helps quite a bit. Now, if you guys are still a little bit confused on how this actually all works and ties together, don't worry, I got you guys covered with sort of like a combo strategy and sort of like a tutorial towards the end of the deck profile to show you guys exactly how you want to optimally play these cards all together. But that will wrap up for all the Digimon we have in this deck. So now let's get into our Tamers. We only play one Tamer, as in one kind of Tamer, but we play the 4 copies of Analog Youth right here. Analog Youth just works exceptionally well along with this deck because you can just add one Digimon by revealing the top 3, and the other 2, ideally you want to have to be your cyborg level 5 so you can trash them, and adding more resources so that you can get into your Machinedramon way quicker, and a 4 copy is a must. Also, its secondary effect works very well because a lot of your Digimon are level 5 or above, mostly level 6 because this is a Megazord based deck, and they will usually have some sort of Digivolution source underneath, meaning that you can sort of take advantage and gain memory and hatch your egg as well, which is why Analog Youth is good. So now let's get into the options. The first option that's staple for this core deck, or this archetype specifically, is Ultimate Connection, and you want to play 4 copies of this at the same time. Very similar idea to Analog Youth, which is why you want to sort of just trash your level 5 Digimon so you get to draw a card and gain 2 memory, which is really valuable for a cost of 1, and which is really essential for this deck. Once again, you're adding more resources to your trash, digging deeper and faster, and giving yourself a bit more advantage. It's also security effect activates its main effect, and it's really cool because if you think about it, it's almost like a pseudo Hammer Spark. Now, if it does activate its main effect when it checks upon security, you trash your level 5 cyborg, and you essentially gain 2 memory. And you also get to draw a card, and often enough, sometimes you get to basically end your opponent's turn through that way, which is really interesting and really awesome to have almost like a Hammer Spark effect for black in particular. Now we're going to show you guys the rest of the options, and this is going to be even more wild and spicy and very interesting because the options we're playing are blue options, and some of these cards make a really cool comeback. The first one is Kaiser Nail right here, which came from Starter Deck 2 Kokaida's Blue. And the other one is a new card that we got from BT7, which is Tidal Wave. Kaiser Nail, for a cost of 4, lets you play a Digimon within a Digimon's Digivolution sources and bring it out. Now again, that might seem kind of confusing with this wording, but I'll show you guys exactly what it means right after. Now, whereas Tidal Wave does almost exactly the same thing, but for a cost of 7, you get to choose 2 Digimon from one of your Digimon's Digivolution sources and play the 2 of them instead without paying their memory cost. Once again, because these options are blue, meaning that the blue baby package that we have and the rookie package with the Vmon and the Demi Vmons becomes very, very crucial because they enable us to play these blue options, and these options give you great value in the deck. So that will be it for all the options and the main deck. We also got a side deck, so let's show you guys what we have in there as well. So as we talk about the side deck, let's show you some of the cards in the main deck that I feel like that can be cited out as considered flex cards. But I want to make a quick important note here that a lot of the cards in the main deck are very, very crucial to the whole strategy, and it just synergizes and works very well. The deck itself is already made to combat against many different decks originally, so the side deck may not be as important as you think when it comes to this particular build for Machinedramon. But I guess the first cards is Machinedramon. It's a really hard decision because Machinedramon is just also really, really good to stop any like rookie rushing strategies and sort of like, you know, anything that's below 6,000 DP swinging to you. But the other interesting thing is also the Omnimon package itself can be actually removed for the side deck cards right here. But these are the few key cards, but very important because the first card that we have is all delete in the side deck, and all delete basically combos with Omnimon. So obviously don't play this card if you're planning to take out any of your Omnimons. It's very, very clutch in some situations and resetting the game. Kind of funny, kind of janky as well if it ever actually happens. But the other one we have right here is Supreme Cannon. So like I mentioned earlier in the deck profile when I was talking about Machinedramon, how its biggest weakness is memory blockers, which is why Supreme Cannon comes in real handy in the side deck in stopping those Digimon such as Cherubimon, Gazimon, and Madoki Betamon, because otherwise you're going to be losing a lot of value when you're playing your Machinedramon. And in some formats that you guys might be playing in where side deck isn't available, I would even put Supreme Cannon in the main deck and swap something out for it as well, because those cards just really hard stop this deck, and that's one of the main important things that you might need to overcome when playing against, basically. Now for the rest of the other side deck cards, for more removal, we have 2 Iron Fisted Onslaughts, where this deck doesn't really have too much top end removal other than Omnimon X Antibody itself, but Iron Fisted Onslaught gives you that, and it's also a black option which works well generally with this deck. And since, like I mentioned, we have a blue base, we can actually play more of a very interesting rookie lineup. Because you have access to blue, it means you have access to both Syakomon and Madoki Betamon right here. Now, Syakomon is very crucial because against hybrids, especially with the level 5s, they reduce cost all the time. This is really good in slowing down their plays, whereas Madoki Betamon stops all the memory gaining shenanigans. And since this is Mega Zoo, you know, you kind of give your opponent quite a lot of memory anyways, so Madoki Betamon is not as important when it comes to comparing with Syakomon, which is why I went for the 3-2 ratio. But that will be it for the entire side deck, and let's show you guys a bit of the combo strategies and how to sort of play this deck. Now there is no particular linear combo like most other decks I've been showcasing, but whereas I'll show you sort of the different phases like early game, mid game, and late game of how you want to sort of play this deck. So early game, you always want to obviously be hatching your egg, and if you have your Vmon, always Digivolve on top of it, and as early as you can, keep pushing it out so that you can swing in with jamming to pressure your opponent, chip your opponent's security away, but also utilize Demi Vmon to draw as many cards as you can. While you're doing that as well, at the same time, play as many of your Hagurumons as possible while you have your level 5s. You want to be trashing them as quickly as you can into the trash and drawing more cards from your deck into your hand. So the whole goal is to add as many of these level 5s into the trash as possible. And while you're drawing and doing all that, you know, you want to see your other combo pieces, which would be your Machinedramon, your Chaosdramon, potentially some of your Omnimons right here. But you know, if they draw them, it's whatever. You ideally want Zord to be in your security, but the key thing is also you want your Kaiser Nails and your Tidal Waves getting into these cards. So once you've done that and you sort of accumulate enough 5 different cyborgs with different codes in your trash or plus your hand, you can basically start playing your Machinedramon as soon as possible. Of course, you know, depending on what resources you have, stack them differently depending on the situation. If you want to play defensively, you would obviously put the Metal Tyranno and Andromon for reboot blocker potential. If you want to go aggressive, you can play the MagnaGarurumon, giving it security +1, which is really nice. You can also do the piercing, Rise Greymon as well for DP reduction, anything you really need. So once you stacked up your Machinedramon and it's ready to go with all its inheritables, you can basically start swinging more aggressively and conducting your plays afterwards as well. And some situations, now you have Chaosdramon, you can obviously top it off with another Chaosdramon and add another level 5 underneath it, which is really good, and you have even more inheritables to work with. Now, however, you do forgo the Machinedramon's floating capabilities. So sometimes another way to sort of play the Chaosdramon is, your opponent tries to take out your Machinedramon, you'll be depleting your resources, 2 every time, for example, and then now you're down to like with 1 source left. Then you can top it off with the Chaosdramon and then bring something back underneath it and sort of have a versatility play that way, which is really, really nice. And here alone, you still get to pop 2 of your opponent's 6,000 BP when digivolving as well. In a flip scenario, let's just say you don't have Chaosdramon and instead you have Zord Defeat in your hand. You can easily just top it off with Zord Defeat, and then if you want to go even harder, you can then afterwards top it off with an X antibody, which works as well, which is really, really cool and very interesting in how to see these kind of combos together. Back to the previous scenario, let's just say you have Chaosdramon right here, ready to go and doing its things. This is when Kaiser Nail and Tidal Wave becomes very, very crucial. Make sure you have a blue egg of some sort or a blue Digimon on the board so then you can play your blue option. Very, very important to keep that in mind. And now Kaiser Nail, especially, for the cost of 4 memory, you get to play your Machinedramon from your Chaosdramon for free, and then Machinedramon's on play effect will activate, allowing you to slip in another 5 level 5 cyborgs underneath it, and then you gain your 5 memory back. So essentially this combo means that you gain 1 memory for doing this play because you get 5 memory back, you pay 4 with Kaiser, and you can also still retain your turn in most cases from this, which is absolutely crazy and amazing. So this is why this combo works very well with this deck. And then now you get to, do your things again with Machinedramon. You can swing aggressively, and then like if you once again have like the Zord Defeats and the Omnimons, you can go into the Omnimon package when need to be, Zord Defeat, and then you can also go into the X antibody if you want to, and do a whole lot of like really cool versatility plays, which is why this deck is so fun and very, very different than the regular hybrid decks that we've all been seeing in this current format. Other really cool key situations, let's just say your Zord Defeat comes out from security and then you top it off with X antibody. You can do the exact same with Kaiser Nail, and then you play the Zord underneath it, and then there you go, 2 Omnimons on the board, and hey, you got something that keeps destroying things, and you got one that has an on deletion effect to delete your opponent's Digimon as well. You basically win really, really hard at that point, and it's almost impossible to stop you in this format, because not many people have top end removal to get rid of these cards as well. So that will wrap up for all those little neat tips and tricks that I have for you guys in playing this deck, and sort of like the strategy of how you want to play it and the play style for this video. That will conclude my very own deck building strategy and in-depth guide for the Machinedramon deck in BT7 format. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any comments, suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. We got lots more deck profiles and content coming up for BT7, so definitely hit that subscribe button right now and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. Once again, if you guys haven't seen the latest Battle of Nyx Adventure series, watch it right now. Go head on over there. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.